Good afternoon, and thank you for the very nice introduction. It's a pleasure to be here at the university, and it's a pleasure to be talking to you again. I would like to go back and forth between our previous presentation and this one, where we discuss sustainability and sustainable development, and how we all need to be seeking to be sustainable and to have a sustainable future for all of us, for all generations, for us, for you, for our children, and how important all of this is. Now the pandemic has shown us, and we discussed this in our presentation before, how we need to be changing so many things now. We need to go and see new jobs, new job opportunities. The market of jobs has changed. And if you don't have the right skills, the right attitude, the right behavior, then maybe the job market will not look so enthusiastic to you in the future. I'm sure all of you heard about jobs being not there anymore, new jobs being created. And at this stage of your life, I know that maybe because my colleague asked you about your age, and many of you are below 18, and maybe you are not even thinking about what will I do in future. And when she asked you, this was the response. Not many knew what they wanted. But let me tell you something. Actually, this is the time where you need to be thinking about what you want to be in the future, how you want to be in the future. And I'm supporting her. By this, I don't mean, I know I want to be an economist in the WTO. No, it's not about that. But it's about, what do I like? What do I enjoy? What do I have passion for? Because you need to think in these terms when you are selecting your optional modules, your optional courses at university. You need to be thinking about this when you think about what groups you will join, what extracurricular activities you will do. If you, for example, want to be in negotiations, then you go and seek to go to be part in the Model United Nations, in any models for student activities, because you will learn skills. So you need at this point in time, when you are 18 or 19, to think about where and what do I want to have in my backpack. I always tell my students, you need now to organize your backpack from the day you enter university. What are the skills I'm going to have there? What are the courses I'm going to study? Because I know that many of you might think it's about education. It's about what I learn. Yes, part of it is what you learn. It's about education. And there you have to be also smart about what to pick and what not to pick. But it's also about the skills, the soft skills, all the activities you can join, the travel you can do, because you have to develop skills. You have to develop skills like emotional intelligence, like cultural intelligence, like being sustainably responsible. This is a skill as well, because this is how you have to act in the future. So this is all these things you have to think about and to think about now. And how can you reach that? You can reach that by many tools. I'm going to recommend some of them, and then my colleague, Dr. Zeinab, will continue with specific skills that will really help you a lot. First is you need to really communicate with your colleagues at the higher degrees who are now going to graduate. And why do you need to do that? Because actually, when you graduate, these colleagues will be the ones who come in employment fairs and come and seek and look for you. So you need to start from now, when you are at university, to do which is very important nowadays. Build your network. You have to have a network. It's not just about the substance that I learn at school. This is very important. It's an important base. But you have to develop, as I said, skills. You have to develop relationships. Because all of this is part of the new normal that we have now. It's not just about what I learn. No, it's about my skills. And what are the skills that are also very important nowadays, and the pandemic has shown us this? And you are exposed to this here. IT skills. IT is very, very important, has to be in your backpack. So in order to do that, you have to start from now. Start making your choices. Start not being influenced, and I'm not saying I'm a parent as well. Don't be influenced by what your parents want, what their passion is. No, what is your own passion? What do you want to achieve? Where do you want to be 5 years from now, as you asked, 10 years from now? Is it the priority to be in a certain position? Is it your priority to enjoy what you are doing? Is it a priority to enjoy life and do something that you really are passionate about? You decide, you choose, and based on that, you collect all the skills possible to have with you in your backpack. So when you go out and you graduate, you are ready to go in the labor market. So although it is always, if we want to ask, consider what you are doing, that and we are talking about sustainability, that you want to plant a tree, the tree of your life. Of course, to have a tree ready, it's better to have done it 10 years ago. But it's not too late to start it now. This is the second best option, to plant your tree now and to start collecting all the skills, all the education, all the tools possible that will help you and support you in having the future that you would like in a few years. And I leave now with my colleague, Dr. Zeinab, to continue with the 6 hats.
Okay, so thank you very much, Professor Hadia. Thank you very much, the audience. Insightful presentations that preceded us. So I'm going to give you some tips of how to be the leaders for the future. This is a bit theoretical, but you can use it, tame it, customize it. These what we call the powerful tools in your hand. How many of you guys know anything about the taxonomy of power for leaders? Anybody learned or heard something called the taxonomy of power? Who knows which kind of powers are by literature? Have you ever heard about something called expert power? The expert power, the knowledge. You're now in your classrooms taking the knowledge. So this is going to be a tool, a weapon in your hand for the future, because you take whatever you can and you learn whatever you can through academic knowledge. But beside these, you must have something that we call, and Professor Hadia had shown, the soft skills of power. The soft skills that would help you to shape your future when it comes to employability market. So employers would seek you for a combination of expert power and for these soft skills power. One of them is communication, the IT knowledge, great a cognitive way of understanding and critically analyzing several problems. Also, you have to have a weapon called the emotional power, and we have heard this from you. I mean, I enjoyed the presentation greatly because your brain would work with a cognitive part and an affective part. That's what we define when we talk about attitudes. We say attitudes predict behavior, and therefore, attitudes, when they predict behavior, it stems from a certain understanding of the situation, but there is this emotional component that would shape your attitude and then results in behavior afterwards. When you can break the rules, like the power tools, you have to have what we call a legitimate power. And this you take and you acquire when you are in higher positions and when you are in a legitimate place to change. And in order to change and anticipate change, you have to have these set of powerful skills and tools. You have to create powerful brand for yourself. You have to brand the change. You have to be the exponential leader, thinking outside the box. You have to be like what we presented the day before yesterday in our presentation about the different agile models in order to anticipate the change and be part of the change. And you have to work on your network. You have to network relentlessly. Use the power to network, because networking at this stage in your life is extremely important when it comes to shape your future, to know what you really want and to decide about your coming steps. And then understand and several leaders do that. Once you have acquired power, what you did to get power will be, in a way, forgotten. So, when we say seek ethical measures to win power, and this I mean very well, you have to seek ethical measures to win power. You don't have to go with the notion of the imposter syndrome, like fake it till you make it. No, that's not. I mean, I heard this from Mr. John Pedley at the American University in Cairo a couple of weeks ago, and he was really defending the position, and he was really claiming that some leaders might use this. But we all agreed that sometimes it gets you into a type of unethical behaviors that you don't really need or acquire. So, John Foster Pedley, and you can follow him on LinkedIn, talked with us in a workshop outside the boundaries of the British University in Egypt, in the American University where I was invited to attend, about what we call the donut of power. Imagine the power as a donut. The donut is like a circle. There is this outer circle, which is the ecological ceiling of the power, and then the social foundation is the middle of this donut for power. Between the two, there is a set of boundaries that lies a donut with shaped spaces that both ecologically and socially just and fair. Where do you find yourself in this donut? You have to find yourself in the middle when there is an intersection between your skills, the demands of the job in the market, and the way you want to be in. That's what we call in management the person-job fit. And the person-job fit theory emphasizes that you must go and seek the skills that would fit you in this position. You can have the help of mentoring and training into the 4 years of your university, going into internships, going into several kinds of summer schools, maybe summer jobs, until you define exactly what you want and what you need, okay? So, and if I return, and I like very much one Professor Jawan said about regulating. When you come and regulate, and the control senses out of a certain behavior, you do what we call, you de-stress the stress. There is an emotion intelligence model known very well called the ABC model. And the ABC model is talking about how to de-stress the stressful factors. You will all face challenges in your life. You will all fail at one point, but learn how to fail and fall forward, not to fall backward, okay? Because when you fall backward, the idea is you will not be able to stand up again. So the idea of changing the goal at certain points in your life because it doesn't fit anymore, the idea of adaptability, the idea of scanning the big picture. We are now talking about sustainability, and we're now talking about what the future is promising us and how the environment is promising us. You have to nurture your skill and to nurture the human nature. And de-stressing the stressful factors could be through the help of your teachers nowadays in school, could be with the help of life coaching at a certain point in life, and could be with the help of learning. You have to never stop learning for whatever coming in the future. The idea, when we talk about the social identity, and there is something very famous in management called the social identity theory. Every one of you guys joined the university for a certain social intention. That would help later on, after piling up with the academic knowledge, in order to put yourself and to place yourself into the society, the place that you really want to be in. And you identify with this social position. Because according to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, when you satisfy basically the first physiological and the first safety measurements, you go a little bit of a step higher the pyramid when you have to emphasize, where do I stand on the social level? Where is my social identity defined? And that's why sometimes you engage into community work. You engage into extracurricular activities. We encourage our students at the British University in Egypt to engage into extracurricular activities. Why? Because this helps to shape and build your personality. Personality is not only acquired by birth. You shape it through a learning process. So what is about leadership? Leadership is about empowering people, inspiring people, leading for change, and sharing vision. You could find yourself tomorrow the entrepreneurs of your business, and you will have to learn a little bit about leadership qualities and skills in order to open your own factory or company or whatever. If you happen to be an employee, you have to understand how to work with a group of people in your department. You have to embrace what we call diversity and inclusion. Okay, and this is a tip and a tool at the same time in order to melt into your job and melt into the society that you belong to. You might find yourself in a job outside the borders of Poland. You might come to us in Cairo for a job as an expat. So you have to learn about other people's culture. So learning is a process that never stops, and in the same time, it's a weapon tool to acquire what we call expert power in addition to academia. So experiences, being open to experiences. So the 6 thinking hats is a tool when you are in a critical challenge or a difficult situation. It's a tool to help you as a manager or as an employee, as even a student in your day-to-day life, to experience how will I make the best decision. So 6 thinking hats were first talking about in Edward de Bono book, The 6 Thinking Hats. And de Bono was emphasizing that it's a technique and a powerful tool to look at decisions from a number of important and different perspectives. You have to understand how you look to a problem in order to analyze it. And usually problems happen, disruptions happen within new innovations, new technologies. As a manager of your organization, which is overseeing day-to-day operation and executing day-to-day plan, managing, controlling, leading, sometimes you are in the position really of doing an abrupt decision. During the COVID-19, as Professor Hadia was just highlighting, there is the new normal that reshaped all our lives, and therefore what to do. So you have a bunch of a choice of different hats that leaders and managers would use. And in interference with the usage of these tools, your personality characteristics will prevail, your motivation from your management will also prevail, and the idea of being included into several groups and learning how to deal with diversity will also prevail. When I talk about personality in this quadrant, I talk about the characteristics of personality. There are different models for personality. There is what we call the 5 dimensions for any personality. Your ability to be an extrovert, not an introvert. Your ability to be open to experience. Your ability to be ethical and highly conscious when it comes to your work. Your ability to envision new ideas and learn how to implement them. These are tips that will help you in order to shape your decisions. The perception idea on how you look to the problem will also differ. Can you use a combination of all these hats at one time, or each one should be used separately? That's a question that you will answer me after we try to see the different types of hats. The white hat looks at the white facts. You have neutral white hat. You are at the beginning of the problem, you don't know anything about it, and then you have to discuss and carefully explore the facts of the problem in an objective way. Then, the red hat. By wearing your red hat, you look at problems using intuition, gut reaction. There is something called the MBTI factors when it comes to personality traits. And one of those characteristics of the MBTI factors is the idea of intuition. Are you going to reason the matter? Are you going to go through rational modes of thinking, or are you going to go through your gut feeling and your sixth sense? Then you have what we call the yellow hat. The yellow hat is the positive thinking. And we all have positive thinking at one time in our life. It's never always gloomy. So it's the optimistic view that helps you to see all the benefits of the decision and the value in it. Yellow hat thinking helps you to keep going when everything looks gloomy and difficult. Then, the pessimistic black hat. How many of you guys have wore the pessimistic black hat and was in this tunnel, never seeing the light at the end? It happens to all of us. How many of you guys experienced that? Only one? That makes us two, by the way. Okay, so there is nothing wrong about saying that one time I was depressed. Yes. And by the way, it's not always bad to look at the half cup, not the full cup. Why? Because by looking at the half cup, sometimes you get out with different solutions. You think about different endeavors that were not around. The green hat, it's a unique way of looking at the hat. You have the light bulb here. Some students in my class would tell me it's a combination of yellow hat and green hat that makes life pinkish rosy. Why? Because this is the future. You have the light bulb and you irrigate this bulb and you enlighten this bulb to open for possibilities. And imagine a leader without extroversion characteristics, without the idea of being open to possibilities. This will make life hell. And then managerial blue hat. What problems do I face? This complements the white hat. Why? Because after analyzing the facts, you need to create alternatives. You need to weight each alternative and create the advantages and disadvantages for the different alternatives for a certain problem. How will I solve the problem? And therefore, the question is, are they used separately, or is it possible to do a combination of all these hats together? On what it depends for? Guys.
So who would like to volunteer and start replying to Dr. Zeinab, please? Which hat
or a combination of hats?
What do you suggest?
Which one would you prefer? Would you prefer wearing which hat in your life? So we have 7 minutes.
We can do it the other way around.
So I will pick, by the way.
Who likes the red hat? Who likes the red hat?
The intuition, the gut feeling.
1, 2, 3.
Okay,
Great.
The gentleman here. Why do you like the red hat? Okay, you're the PhD student, right? Yeah, we met. Yeah, I remember you. Yeah.
Makes you reach opportunities,
yes,
makes you see opportunities, new opportunities, right?
What about the yellow hat? What do you think?
Anybody liking the yellow the most would start with the yellow?
Guys, who likes
Nobody?
the yellow hat? Nobody likes optimism? My God, you're the leaders of tomorrow.
I think they all like the green one. Who likes the green
Creativity,
one?
right?
Creativity.
You irrigate
yes.
your knowledge. Yes, thank you. Why do you like creativity, sir?
Always there are solutions that are unique, and you must think outside the box. And a lot of people can't do this and find it very difficult, I think. You must look like from a fresh mind without any outer, like a child who enters a problem and is not
prepared.
Yes, and like influenced by others.
Influenced by the external environment.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much.
Okay, so do you think that we use a combination of those hats together, or we use each one alone? A combination. Who said combination?
Yes, excellent.
Yes, thank you. Why?
sometimes we are just very pessimistic about what we do, and this is the fact that we have, the two of us have agreed upon, that we were pessimists at least once in our lifetime.
Yes, of course.
But I just want to add here that being pessimistic in any decision is really very important. Because if you are not pessimistic, well, being pessimistic means that I evaluate the dangers, I evaluate the threats. If I'm just being open and positive all the time, this is being unrealistic. This black hat is really very important, and I wanted to add this. Thank you for sharing this, because I know it's not popular, but actually this is what prevents failures.
Yes.
This is what protects us lots of time. So having this black hat is very important. Don't ever lose sight of it, please.
Myself and Professor Hadia, sometimes when we are in managing a new endeavor in the department, being proactive about a certain decision, or being proactive as seeing the dangers of this decision, or seeing what's coming negatively out of the decision, if we do it, it helps us to create, and it helps top management to create the correct decision. Because if you are proactive enough, you're never going to be the prey. You're always going to be the hunter, okay? And you will hunt the prey before the prey comes. And this is about exploring opportunities sometimes. I would do a combination of all. And depending on the perspective, yes. Depending on the way we perceive the problem, yes. Depending on our needs, the disruptions in the society, yes. And basically depending on the situation. Why? Because the situation will dictate to us the right scenario in the right minute. Think about COVID-19. We're 2 minutes away in time. Think about COVID-19. COVID-19, you had to wear, as a decision maker, the black hat at the beginning. And you had also to see the white facts. And you had to organize. Then you had to improvise. The creations of so many vaccines came at the end. But at the beginning, it was safety measurements. So it was the white facts, the blue hat in organizing those facts, and it was definitely the black hat of whatever going around us, yes.
Exactly.
So, I'm done, and if any questions, you said we will save the questions for the break. Thank you very much, everyone, for listening to us and Professor Hadia. We're very grateful to be here, and it's always nice to be back to Katowice.
Katowice,
Yeah.
yes.
Professor Hadia
Always
was here
developing.
in 2017. I was here in 2018, and I met a bunch of students in International Week, and here I am seeing other bunch of students as well. I would like to say hello to our colleagues here who came to Egypt last April, Dr. Bozina, Dr. Anna Urbanek. Yeah, they were at the British University in Egypt, and it was really great to have them. Thank you very much.
Thank you all very much.